So, have you ever recognized that it doesn't really matter how many times you stretch a patient or client's chest? It usually remains tight. Well, this is because the chest or the pec is the symptom, but it's not the true source of their tightness. So, if we continue to neglect the source, we never get that long term outcome that we're looking for. So, in this video, I want to discuss two main reasons as to why the chest remains tight, and then two really simple solutions that we can start to implement today to get the long term outcome we're looking for, which is the mobility of chest wall expansion, and for your patient or client to actually feel like they don't have a tight chest when they move their limbs. So the two main problems that we run into are patterns and air. Specifically, a patient or client that is in a pattern of hyperinflation. What this means is that there's too much air in the chest wall and it creates compression of the chest. The consequence of this is that it disrupts normal respiratory biomechanics and movement. So all day long, when we should be opening the chest on inhalation and closing it on exhalation, we remain compressed and in a tight position. And how we get air is then from our belly breathing. So we're belly breathing, expanding on inhale, compressing on exhale. This just stays tight. And so it doesn't matter if we just move this arm. This is in a position all day long to remain tight. So to truly fix a tight chest, we need to restore normal respiration biomechanics, and we can represent an overly compressed chest wall with a full can of liquid. It would make complete sense to you if I gave you a full can of any sort of liquid and told you to squeeze it. You would understand that you cannot squeeze it. There is no space available. This is what's happening here. There's no space available. Everything remains tight because of that. And the only way that we can actually move this is by creating space. And this would be synonymous with an open can, where we don't have the liquid, or in our case, we shift the liquid or the volume. So if I said to squeeze an empty can, you would not be surprised that you can do it. As it relates to the human body, when we start learning how to exhale and get air out of here, we can then start to really learn how to open up the chest wall. So the first simple exercise we're going to do is a side-lying breathing exercise. What you'll need is a balloon and a dowel stick. Now, the why behind this exercise is that in our hyperinflated pattern, the chest wall is up and out. So what we need to do to create normal breathing mechanics is we need to work on exhaling and driving the rib cage down and in. If we can exhale and bring that rib cage down and in, it creates an environment where the chest wall has no other option but to expand in a good way on inhalation, right? So we're using a balloon because a balloon helps us provide more resistance for the abs to really try to get the rib cage down. We're going to use the dowel to really reach to add to the pec stretch. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to go in a side-lying position with our knees bent to about hip level. We're going to rest our head on a pillow. Start with a little air in the balloon. This arm goes up. This is going to be the pec stretch. And all we're going to do here is work on reaching on the inhale, holding on the exhale. Now, what does that do? As we reach on the inhale, it's going to really stretch the pec from an arm standpoint. And as we exhale and maintain the arm, the ribs are going to go down. So we're getting a stretch on both ways, but what we really need to focus is on holding that position on the exhale and letting the ribs go down, and the chest is going with it, right? So all we'll do is grab the balloon. We want to get into a tucked, stacked position. Inhale through your nose, exhale into the balloon. So the next exercise we can do is just a quadruped breathing. But a lot of times people unknowingly make a mistake of over rounding in this exercise. But let's first understand what's going on with our normal respiration mechanics. When we go in a quadruped position, we are letting gravity do a lot of the work. The pump handle or the chest naturally is going to fall down when we're in this position, right? So just being in this position is really good for that chest wall to open up. But then we're going to start to use our breathing techniques that we did with our balloon to really try to get the bucket handle or the side ribs down. And so that way we can really maximize the expansion on the chest wall. So all we're going to do is go down into a quadruped position. First, instruct your patient or client to feel 0 to 100%. So 0 would be fully retracted, 100% would be fully protracted. To really maximize how much chest wall expansion we can get, we don't want to be at that 100%. That's actually going to create more compression at the chest wall, because the higher we go, the more that chest actually wants to start to contract, and we're trying to keep the chest relaxed. So what we're going to do is instruct our patient to be at about 50 to 60%. So if this is 100, we're going to back off a little bit. So we're looking for pretty much a flat back, not a super rounded back. And then all we're doing in this position is slightly tuck the tailbone, head down, and then we're just going to work on our breathing. So we inhale through our nose, exhale through our mouth. You're trying to exhale to feel your abs, then maintain the amount of ab tension that you feel, and inhale again. Now, if that's too easy, you can work on slowly coming off the ground and have your patient or client do this with their knees hovering off the ground. Same rules apply. Don't over round. Make sure you feel your abs. Inhale and exhale. We're trying to really feel the expansion on the chest wall as we inhale.